Thank you. लक्ष्मी नरसिंह भगवान की भगवान की भगवान की
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yes, it's a beautiful Friday evening and thank you for joining us at the Namahatta. Before I go any further, I would like to thank Shanti Prabhu for such a lovely kirtan to start this Namahatta this evening. Shanti Prabhu, thank you so much for always bringing this melodious instruments and playing it so beautifully, and to our entire kirtan team, Ravindra Swarup Prabhu, thank you for the lovely Nrishingadev Pranam. So on behalf of the Namahatta and the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, founded by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, a very warm welcome to this evening's Namahatta program. Is there anybody that's joining us here for the very first time? Mataji, you in the front? You've come before? I see a hand went up in the back. Okay, so we do have some newcomers. A very warm welcome to you. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to having you here in the future. So it is my honor and privilege in introducing our speaker for today. His Grace Swarup Damodar Prabhu. Let's give him a round of applause. So due to Prabhu's extreme humility and simplicity, he has made a personal request that I keep his bio very, very short. Yes, there is so much to say about Prabhu, but I will wholeheartedly oblige to his request. Swarup Prabhu is the temple president of the Sri Sri Radha Radhana temple. Prabhu is a disciple of His Holiness Giriraj Swami, and Prabhu joined the Hare Krishna movement in 1993. And he has served in various capacities within the organization here in South Africa and internationally. So we are all very excited. Thank you so much, Swarup Prabhu, for joining us. Thank you for being here with us. I would also like to welcome His Grace Raghunath Bhatta Prabhu. Thank you so much for being here with us as well. So I request Prabhu to please come forward, and he will engage us in a lovely discourse. For those of us that know Swarup Prabhu, we know that these classes are always so amazing, so inspirational, so motivational. Hare Krishna.
I've got a question before the class started. And it starts off by saying, thank you for an absolutely enlightening class as always. Well, that doesn't put much pressure on me to perform. Hare Krishna. Good evening to everyone. It's really wonderful to be back here. Garden Vanasi Namahatta, which has become a home to many spiritual seekers, aspiring spiritual seekers, devotees of Krishna, and very often I hear from devotees how inspired they are to come here and to grow their spiritual kripa at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and we want to thank Mahaprasad Prabhu and Mother Madhurya for maintaining this program with such warmth, love and affection. Thank you very much. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की आचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki Ganga Mayi Ki Yamuna Mayi Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Tulsi Maharani Ki Samarita Bhaktivinoda Ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Shri Jagannath Rath Yatra Mahotsav Ki. Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani Ki. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ki. Go Pramanande. Hare Krishna. Does this have to go around or not? Okay. So, how is everyone this evening? Hungry? I'll try and conclude the class in time so we can be promptly ready to serve dinner. I know dinner here on a Friday evening is one of the highlights of everyone's week. So maybe we'll base our class on the question. Is this your question? This is your question. Okay. So Prabhuji, what's your name, Prabhu again?
It's Keegan.
Keegan. So Keegan on Sunday met me at the Radharanath temple for a few minutes, and he writes this question. He says, last week Sunday at Sri Sri Radharanath temple, you asked me how my Krishna consciousness is going. You know how Indian people are? Whenever we meet someone, what do we say? How are you, Prabhu? Mataji, how are you? It's our standard go-to exchange between people. And that's a nice question. It's a very socially normal, acceptable question. It shows some concern. But you know how sometimes somebody from a call center calls you up? You ever had this experience? I have it so many times. They call you up and say hello, and they'll say, oh hello, how are you, sir? And I'll say, I'm fine, and I keep quiet. And they'll automatically say, I'm also fine, thank you for asking. But you didn't ask them that. So it's almost mechanical, programmed, they just have to ask the question. But this question is a very deep question. And in the Shastras it's described that the great King Janak, he was also asking the same question, but in a very different way, in a more meaningful way. He asked the great sages that visited him, he says, my dear great sage, my dear sage, can you please tell me how you are progressing in your endeavor to overcome the cycle of repeated birth and death? That is the real way to ask, how are you? Because every other answer, every other form of that question is just meaningless. It pertains to the material experience. Oh Prabhu, my heart pressure went up recently, my blood sugar level is this, and my daughter is not behaving properly, and my son ran away from home with this girl I didn't want him to marry, and I lost my job. Who cares about all of that? It's material, it's temporary, it's fleeting. Today it's this problem, tomorrow it'll be another flavor of a problem. But this question, how is your endeavor in overcoming the repeated cycle of birth and death? That is the real point of how are you? So next time you ask someone, you approach someone, ask them this question. You think, oh my God, what do I answer now? And it's a good question to ask ourselves every day. How is my progress on this path? So you asked me how my Krishna consciousness is going, and I told you I think it's improving. You agree with that? It's improving. Very good. But then you asked me, how I measured that. That's another very important point. Right? How do you measure your Krishna consciousness progress? Or what's the opposite of progress? Digress. Right? How do you measure it? After I told you my answer, I went home and reflected on it more. So number one, can you advise how a devotee should measure and assess one's progress? And number two, what should we also be cautious about and guard against when trying to assess our progress, so we don't fall in the trap of Maya, or have our false ego get the better of us? Sorry for the long question. He likes it. It's a very nice question, thank you, Keegan, and it's a very relevant question to everyone at whatever stage they may be practicing. Gopeshwari Mataji asked the question if there's anyone that came here for the first time, and one or two people put their hands up. It's even relevant to them, and it's even relevant to me, who may be 30 odd years in the movement, someone who's 40 years, 50 years born in the movement. It's relevant all the time. Then when we get up in the morning, we make a prayer to our spiritual master, to Prabhupada, to Lord Chaitanya. I want to dedicate this day to you, all my activities. And at night before we go to sleep, we again offer our obeisances and we report back to the spiritual master, at least within our mind or outwardly. We say a prayer that, my dear Lord, my dear Guru Maharaj, my dear Prabhupada, this is what I've done. This is the areas where I lapsed in today. This is something that I could have done better in today. Daily we are measuring. Just as very, very high-level athletes, right, or fitness people, they're always measuring their body fat or their speed or their strength. Every day they're taking notice, weighing themselves, timing themselves, how high, how fast, how far. Every day they're taking notes and they record it in some way. So we can also have a similar view of our spiritual practices. Because ultimately, what do we want to become? What's the goal of our lives? To become pure devotees of Krishna. To serve Krishna for Krishna's sake and no other sake. You know? One senior devotee would say, we should serve God for God's sake and no other sake. Let not my sake come in the middle and contaminate things. Because that's what modern religion is. Right? Traditional religion is, let me serve God, so on the side, I can get my side benefits met. Right? My wealth can increase, my health can increase, my popularity can increase, my reputation increase, my strength, my beauty, my learning, my birth, everything can get better. But that's not why we want to become a pure devotee. Pure devotee means disregarding all these things. That doesn't matter to us. All these social concerns, they mean nothing to us. Means absolutely nothing. So this question is very, very vital. How do we measure? In a nutshell, well, when Prabhupada was asked this, his basic answer to how to measure, how to assess is to determine how detached we are becoming from material activities and how attached we are becoming to topics about Krishna. In a simple way, that's how we can assess ourselves. Today, am I more attached to Krishna and less detached from Maya, or has it gone in the other way? And how do you determine that? By time and effort you put into each activity. If you spend 2 hours on spiritual life in the day, but you spend 18 hours on mundane activities, can you truly say that I've become more attached to Krishna and less attached from Maya? Of course, the quality of the 2 hours is also important. Somebody could be spending 18 hours on external spiritual activities and just 2 hours on material activities, right? But that 18 hours of spiritual activities could be very weak and inattentive and distracted. So there's that as well, that consideration. But at least as a as a guiding principle. How much of time and how much of effort we put into each sphere of our lives can help us determine how we are progressing or how we are regressing or digressing. So this is a very important question we should ask ourselves daily. We should ask ourselves weekly, monthly, yearly. And you know what's better than that? Asking ourselves this daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly? What's a better way of assessing yourselves than asking yourself the question? Ask your wife the question. Or ask your husband the question. Or ask your friend in Krishna conscious the question. Ask your spiritual guides the question. Because can you truly trust yourself? How many of you trust yourselves? I mean, to some extent, we may have that. But we may be biased for ourselves. We may lead ourselves into believing, hey, I'm doing well. There's no problems. Coffee in the morning once in a while, what's the big deal? Why these Hare Krishnas make such a big issue of that? Oh, I can buy a pizza at, what's the main pizza places in Durban? Why do you know that? I was waiting for someone to fall into that. What's the big deal, small things, Let's not show us your Uber Eats on your phone. Oh, why do I know that? So we shouldn't really trust ourselves. That's why we need guides. We need to be able to surrender and open our hearts to someone that we can trust. Never in the history of Vaishnavism, never in the history of spiritual life has there been anyone who has become successful in spiritual life, becoming a pure devotee of God, without having their hearts opened to another Vaishnava. You can read all the literatures throughout the world, you'll never find someone who has done it themselves. They have to open their hearts to someone, because that's someone who's more experienced, more learned, more advanced, can see in our hearts and tell us truly how we are doing. Very important to have that. So yes, we can try to be honest with ourselves, but more importantly, be open to the feedback of other Vaishnavas. And approach Vaishnavas that you know are pure at heart, that will honestly speak to you, that have your best interests in their hearts. Your best interest in their hearts. You must find those Vaishnavas. Because we know, I mean I have been, I'm sure some of you have been, we've been hurt by other devotees from time to time. I'm not going to have a show of hands now, we don't have everybody's hands up. But we've had issues because we are not pure devotees. We sometimes connect with someone, invest some trust and faith in someone, and they may let us down. It happens to all of us to some time or the other. But that mustn't deter us. There are Vaishnavas right here in the audience that can help us purely. We just have to look for them and be patient, and they will guide us back to Krishna. And it's not just my Diksha Guru. It's not just the Swamis or the Prabhupada disciples. It's not just them, mind you. Because how much of time do you spend with your Guru? How many of you have spent more in your whole life in Krishna consciousness? If you add up all the minutes with your spiritual master, how many of you have spent more than 5 hours or 6 hours? How many of you have spent, if you add up all the time with the person? Almost no one here, right? So one could ask, does he know my heart fully? It's possible. What Krishna tells him, what Krishna wants him to know, he'll know. But as important as that association is to associate with people around you and get feedback. So if we cultivate that mood, that let me cultivate relationships with the devotees, with each another, and the other has the same mood with you, let me practice in such a way that I can openly ask for feedback from another person. And because our common goal is Krishna consciousness, that we want to help each other advance to the point of becoming, and beyond, of becoming pure devotees, then we'll have a community that's very transparent, very honest and open-hearted with each another. Because you can't do it alone. You can't do this process alone. Krishna consciousness is a team sport. Right? It's a team sport. You can't do it alone. So that's one way we can figure out how we are doing. Then Keegan wants to know, what should we also be cautious about and guard against? Yes, so many things. I was thinking, what to speak about coming here. And is it tomorrow? My days are a bit weird. Tomorrow's Hanuman Jayanti, right? And Hanuman Jayanti is the glorification of the manifestation of the greatest devotee. There are 9 processes of devotional service, Shravana, Kirtana, Vishnu Smaranam, like that. And each of these limbs, or each of these types of devotional services has an exemplar. Somebody that engaged in that particular service, in that particular type of devotional service, hearing, chanting, remembering, deity worship, worshiping the lotus feet, like that, remembering Krishna. They engaged in it in a very superlative way, that they became most exemplary and famous for their engagement in that type of devotional service. And Hanuman is famous for, anybody knows which type of devotional service? For being a servant, Dasyam. Famous for that. And the reason that he became famous, because he gave everything, his whole heart, consciousness, existence was given in the service of Sita Ram. Everything. To the extent that he sometimes, it became, what's the word? I've been in India for 6 months, so I've been trying to learn Hindi a lot, so my English vocabulary is just like great. It became weird to a point, how invested Hanuman was in his just amazing, honest, open-hearted expression of love for Sita Ram. You may know this famous story about Hanuman covering himself with sindoor. You know the story? That one day he's sitting in Sita Devi's room and she's applying sindoor to the parting in her hair. And he wants to know, oh Sita Maya, why are you doing that? Why are you putting this vermilion powder? And she explains that when I put this on the parting of my hair, then that gives Lord Ram a long life, prosperity, good health, fame and so on. And he thought, wow. And then suddenly he jumped away. In a few minutes he was back. But he was fully covered with sindoor. And Sita said, what's going on? Why are you covered? He said, Sita Maya, you put so little on your forehead, and this gives Lord Ram so much of benefit, I thought, let me cover my whole self. This is his mood. And it comes from having a pure heart. A pure-hearted service. The devotee has no external considerations. Nothing. You know how sometimes we are when we go on our first Harinam? How many of you had this experience? One day if my old friends are here on the street and they're looking at me, how will they think of me? What will they think or something, right? Or if you are cleaning cabbages or potatoes and people come and say, oh, you're such a well-educated boy, what you are doing this for? You're sweeping the temple. No external consideration whatsoever because of the purity of the heart. So what should we be doing? What should we be cautious of and focused on? Or really focused on is the constant endeavor to clean the heart. The constant endeavor to clean the heart. So we can also become Hanuman-like. So tomorrow when we are observing Hanuman Jayanti, we can pray to him. But my dear Hanumanji, you have such a pure heart. Such a pure heart. You have no inhibitions about serving Krishna. Serving Lord Ram. No inhibitions, no hang-ups, no hesitation whatsoever. Please bless me that I can also be empowered by you to cleanse my heart. So that there's never any hesitation when service is available. You know about him having the yawning service? You know the yawning service? Hanuman's yawning service? All the services were taken. All the services were taken. And then, what's my service? So Lord Ram said, whenever I yawn, you can click your fingers. Because there's a whole traditional culture that when you yawn, apparently I've heard in India that subtle bodies can enter into your bodies. So that's why you click your fingers so it dispels them. So whenever Lord would yawn, Hanuman was clipping his fingers. Anyway, there's a whole backstory and a front story that we won't get into. But he's eager to do anything and everything. Nothing was too small, nothing was too big for Hanuman because of the purity of his heart. So how do we purify our hearts? That is the question. It's not about lowering your cholesterol, the plaque and all the arteries. That's not the way. That's also important. We don't want anyone blaming Madhurya Bhakti for the paneer and the cream that she put in the sabji and gets that clogged arteries or something. That is one way, but that's the external way. The devotee is always concerned about Chaitra Dharana Marjana. How to cleanse the heart constantly. And in connection with the Jagannath Rath Yatra that's coming up, wow, in just under a week, yes, in just under a week, we can talk about cleansing the heart in relation to Jagannath Rath Yatra. That the day before the Rath Yatra in Jagannath Puri, 500 years ago when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was present, a wonderful, transcendental, but deeply instructive pastime took place just the day before the Jagannath Rath Yatra. Anybody knows what the name of that wonderful pastime was or is? Anybody can remember? Very, very important. Maybe it's good you all don't remember it or know it, but so we can have an opportunity to share that. It's called the cleansing of the Gundicha temple. Gundicha Marjan. So there's two significant temples in Jagannath Puri. One, of course, is the Jagannath temple, which represents Kurukshetra or Dwaraka. And the Gundicha temple, which represents Sri Vrindavan Dham. So Jagannath Rath Yatra is, the deities are taken from Jagannath Puri temple, down Grand Road, Long Road, to the Gundicha temple. And for a number of days, they are stopped at the Gundicha temple and the deities are worshipped there. And then there's a return Rath Yatra from Gundicha to Jagannath Puri. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 500 years ago, when he based himself in Jagannath Puri on the desire and request of his mother, Mother Sakshi, that since you're not taking sannyas, at least base yourself in Jagannath Puri, not too far away, so I can get some information about how you're doing in your activities. Also, Lord Chaitanya wanted to base himself in Jagannath Puri for those last 18 years, because Jagannath Puri is the place of separation, viraha bhav, where the Lord Krishna assumes this most amazing form of Jagannath because of his intense love that was experienced by him in separation from Srimati Radharani, from the residents of Vrindavan. I never knew about this form of Jagannath when I was growing up, before I became a devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's not something we were taught in our Indian culture, this form of Jagannath. But this is, in some ways, in some forms, the highest expression of love that is experienced by Lord Krishna. And this is when he takes this form. So Lord Chaitanya wanted to base himself there for that purpose. To relish the separation. Because he is in the mood of, what is the mood of Lord Chaitanya? The mood of Srimati Radharani, experiencing separation from Krishna. And Lord Jagannath is Krishna experiencing separation from Srimati Radharani. So that combination of Jagannath and Lord Chaitanya in Puri creates an explosion of ras, of mellows, of love of Krishna. And that's what happened during the 18 years that Lord Chaitanya was present in Jagannath Puri. And one of the principal events each year that Lord Chaitanya engaged in was the Jagannath Rath Yatra. Very, very important. And each year before the Rath Yatra, Lord Chaitanya would engage all the devotees in cleaning the temple that represents Shri Vrindavan Dham. Because Rath Yatra means taking Krishna, Balaram and Subhadra from Kurukshetra to Vrindavan. So Vrindavan has to be cleaned, the temple has to be cleaned very nicely. So yes, this temple cleansing, it's externally very significant, but also for us internally very significant. The Lord Chaitanya, whatever actions, whatever activities he performed, there were two considerations or two reasons. One was an external reason and the other was the internal reason. Just like Lord Chaitanya's descent into this world, there were external reasons and internal reasons. The external reason was on the plea of Advaita Acharya, he came and to propagate the Harinam Sankirtan movement. That was the external reason. It does not mean it's external as if not as important. It means it's external to himself. It's significant to others, right? To those external to him. But his internal reasons are what? To taste the love of Srimati Radharani, to understand her love, and to understand the qualities of himself, Krishna, that she's so attracted to, and to taste the happiness she feels in serving him. These are the internal reasons. They matter to him internally. They're not external. So like that, the cleansing of the Gundicha temple also has internal reasons and external reasons. And we'll go through that very quickly, just this pastime of how it unfolds. So the external reason, like I said, clean the temple nicely. Just like if we're having a festival, we clean the place up nice. Like Diwali, every year Diwali, what happens? Major cleaning goes on at home, right? The whole place gets cleansed upside down. It's wonderful. But it's external, right? We're cleaning the temple. We want to invite Lord Ram into our home. We light up beautiful candles, Deepavali. Deepavali means rows of lamps to beautify the home. But internally, we have to also invite Lord Ram into our hearts. We have to invite Jagannath into our hearts. So, the cleansing of the Gundicha temple is like we are all practicing devotees, trying to practice. We have started our process and we are evolved in different ways from each other along the path. But every now and then, we need some fine-tuning. You know, older people, maybe those from my age and older, will remember we had all these radios where these tuning buttons. Sometimes the reception, you can't quite hear what, so you just turn a little, and eventually you can get the reception really nice. So remember that? Who remembers Friday night, 7 o'clock on radio? Squadcast. Shows how old we are. Or what was even older than that, the comedy, Men from the Ministry. No one knows all these things. God, you are so uncultured. Am I the only one that remembers all these classics? No one else remembers this. Sankarsha? Squadcast, Men from the Ministry. Don't you remember? Huh? Trace, yeah? Yeah, actually some people got some culture. Instead of listening to what's the latest on Radio Lotus and I don't know what they have now at that time. But yeah, so you tune and you remember us because we couldn't get, we didn't want to pay SABC TV license fees. We'll have these coat hangers and we'll put it through the window and connect it to the aerial just to get good reception to watch the clear TV. And sometimes it's fuzzy and you just adjust it a little bit and wow, the TV screen becomes clear. So remember those days? Some of you, I'm sure. Right? So similarly, sometimes our Krishna consciousness, the reception gets a little fuzzy. You wake up in the morning, you're feeling, oh God, why do I have to get up so early, go for Namahatta? Oh. I think it's okay. No one's going to see if I don't chant all my rounds today. I'll just do it tomorrow. You know, that Prabhu came home, he said, I must read at least one page of Prabhupada's books a day. He's not here, he won't notice. I can just send a message, I did the one page a day. No. So sometimes our Krishna consciousness gets a little fuzzy, the reception gets a little blurry. So we need a little fine-tuning in our spiritual lives. Just like sometimes, the cooks, they follow a recipe, but because of maybe the bad quality of the vegetables or the seasonings or the spices or whatever, the oil or the ghee may not be that good. So the preparation doesn't come out that well. So sometimes you need to fine-tune your recipe. Maybe the salt isn't as strong as it used to be, or the chili wasn't as good, whatever. So you got to fine-tune each time. You got to add a little bit, a few pinches of humility in this spiritual practices, a cup of tolerance, a little more. Some extra patience, some things like that, more attentiveness. So this Gandhicha pastime of the Lord, cleansing this temple, is like a wonderful fine-tuning experience for us, based on the way it all went about. It's a wonderful scientific approach in the way in which the Lord cleansed this temple. And I ask you all to go to the Madhya Leela of the Chaitanya Charitamrita when you'll have time over this week and read that pastime. Because if you read that pastime and imbibe it deeply in your hearts, then your Rath Yatra experience come Friday next week, 18th April, will have so much more meaning when you're in front of that chariot pulling Jagannath, Balaram and Subhadra. It'll have such a depth of meaning, much closer to how Lord Chaitanya and his associates were experiencing Rath Yatra than the way we experienced last year, which was hanging out with our friends under an umbrella, walking along, taking out selfies, having an ice cream cone, chatting about whatever. That's not Rath Yatra. Rath Yatra is about cleaning our hearts the days before, and then coming before Jagannath, and with a heart full of eagerness to pull that chariot into our hearts. It's not just an automatic thing. Yes, I'm waking up, I'll go and park at the parkade, get the shuttle to the chariots. No. It's much, much more of a preparation that is required. So we find Lord Chaitanya there in Puri. He had this great desire, and he called his host Kashi Mishra. He called Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who was the chief priest of the Jagannath temple, and he called the superintendent, the Paricha, to come. And he asked the superintendent of the temple, I have this desire to clean the temple. Can you please allow me to? Now this is the Lord. He's asking permission to offer some menial service. So this is the first point, that our service to Krishna must be blessed. We can't just, off the top of my head, I want to do this and do it. Yes, some things are fine. But in general, we should check with our spiritual authority, our spiritual guides, our mentor, our Namahatta leader. Or if it's a big service, consult our spiritual master. Have it blessed. The Lord is showing this example himself. And the Paricha, of course, he says, but my dear Lord, of course we can do this, but you are the Lord. How can you be engaged in this menial service? This is not for you. We will do it. But the Lord doesn't want that. He wants to do it. For two reasons. First, he is Acharya. Acharya means one who sets the example. By his own actions, he sets the path. He leads the way. And second, it's pointing out to all of us that when it comes to service to Krishna, there's no material consideration involved there. It doesn't matter what your position in the material world is. You can be the CEO of Google, you can be the head of the Reserve Bank, you can be whatever. When it comes to service, there's no such thing as high and low service. It's all transcendental. So even cleaning the temple can be done by the king. And it's glorious. So as soon as we start putting material considerations on social levels about this service and that service, then it's not bhakti. It's karma. That won't clean the heart. So Lord Chaitanya is pointing out, even before doing the act, he's showing the proper mood. That this is cleansing the Lord's temple. There's no point about this is not fitting for me. No. So whatever we are given to do, we should understand it's coming from Krishna. It's coming from Krishna. And we should be eager to accept it. Then he asked the Parisha, the superintendent, please get me so many buckets and so many brooms. And he dutifully did this. There again, it's also showing a wonderful example, a wonderful lesson, that when we engage devotees in service, we mustn't just tell them do this and do that, but we must equip them with the facilities to do the service. That's also being shown. So again, it doesn't matter what we bring, as long as we are given the engagement. Some of us may be given the engagement of having a microphone in front of us. Fine. Wonderful, do it. Some of us may be given the engagement of having knives and spoons with us. Do that service. Given the broom or the mop, do the service. Given a book bag, do the service. There's no material consideration that should come in the way. Even though we may feel ourselves unqualified, Nimittam bhavasavya sacha. Krishna is telling Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, become my instrument and act in that way. If you become Krishna's instrument, does your qualification or disqualification matter? Because it's whose qualification that matters? Krishna's qualification, because he's now acting through you. Of course, that doesn't mean now let me not be bothered, somebody tells me I must lead the midnight Arti Kirtan at Janmashtami, and I don't have to worry, I don't have to know how to sing or play kartals, No, we should still endeavor to train ourselves, become better as much as possible. You have a realization, I want to cook the big Raj Bhoga on Radhastami, but you don't know how to cook. No, Krishna, I'm your instrument, you just need my hands. No, what a disaster that will be then. Right? So we mustn't take what I said just now and be unreasonable about it. We must still practice and train ourselves. I'm going to give this big class and I have no idea about the philosophy. Krishna will speak through my tongue. No. We have to put our endeavor. Just like the two fingers we learn about in Kartik, our endeavor and Krishna's mercy, both has to be there. So anyway, yes, the Lord is set now. He gathered all his devotees. He went and gave each one a broom and a bucket and told them what to do. And then he went and sat back in his room and started chanting. No. The Lord was on his fours, on his knees and arms with cloth, and he was sweeping and wiping. First, they cleansed off all the debris, the leaves, the twigs, the sand, everything was taken out. A huge pile kept out of the temple. And the Lord himself was going around and also checking and observing and guiding the devotees as they were cleaning, encouraging those and appreciating those that were doing well, and also mentioning to some who weren't putting their full effort, you can do better. Come on, you can do better than this. And it's described that the Lord's pile that he accumulated from his cleansing was more than everyone else's put together. There is another point, that when the heart is very pure, then the result, the output of service is greater. That's also there. So they cleansed this temple wonderfully. But then the Lord said, now let's do a second cleansing. Going with finer attention, with smaller brushes, finding more finer dirt to cleanse. And so much more came out of that. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in his commentary on that pastime, says that this is very significant, the second cleansing. That the first cleansing is a gross cleansing. And for us, the devotees, it can refer to us becoming grossly purified of various external bad habits. Like the bad habits that we vow not to get into at the time of initiation. No meat eating, no gambling, no intoxicating, those things. Gross stuff, you know. But the finer things, that's very important. What are those finer things we have to cleanse from the heart? Anybody can say? Lust, anger, greed, duplicity, desire for fame, desire to be respected, desire to be worshipped and appreciated. All these things are very fine, but they weigh in the heart. And that's so much greater contamination than just the externals. So Lord Chaitanya is teaching that as well. One has to go in and clean. Clean our hearts out of all the duplicity, all the desires for name, fame, prestige, power, adoration, worship. All that has to come out. You see, devotees, this process of Krishna consciousness that was given by Lord Chaitanya and presented by Prabhupada to us in a very powerful way is an urgent process. This is not a feel-good process where you think you can come here on a Friday evening and tick your box off that I've done my religious duties for the week. I'm a very nice religious Hindu, very nice religious Hare Krishna. No. This is an urgent process. This is a process that Prabhupada felt great pain, went through great sacrifice to come across from India, across to the rest of the world, to give us a process to end our suffering once and for all. Not to polish our suffering and make it feel nice and happy. No, not polish suffering, but to stop the suffering. I was sharing with Raghunath Bhatta Prabhu, was it in the car? But recently I was remembering a talk given by His Holiness Mukunda Goswami, one of the very, very first disciples of Prabhupada in 1965-66. That when Prabhupada was speaking in the Bowery, which is like the armpit of the world, you know, it's like it's like the worst place. He said the first time he heard Srila Prabhupada speaking, he didn't understand the message, could hardly even figure out Prabhupada's accent, but he said, even though I couldn't figure anything out, I could feel that this person has something very urgent to share with the world. Very, very urgent, compelling and urgent. Now, I may I definitely don't have a fraction of a drop of Prabhupada's purity of urgency. But I also feel urgency when I look at our community that we're developing. And I feel we need to become urgent. Not that we just tick off our religious experience for the week and month. You know, no. What we are here to share with you all is a process, is an encouragement to stop our material existence and go back home, back to Krishna. Otherwise, our efforts, I feel, are somewhat fruitless. So please take this very seriously. It is very important principle that Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya are teaching us. So yes, coming back to the point, cleaning the heart. Duplicity, a very important thing. You know, I caught myself so many times, and one of my very kind mentors also catches me out some of the time. He tells me, "So, isn't this a bit duplicious of you?" Yes, Burijan Prabhu. His name is Burijan Prabhu. He's a very wonderful disciple of Prabhupada, very perceptive Brahmin in our movement. And I feel very grateful that I have him in my life to catch out my duplicity. And he once explained to me that according to Jiva Goswami, there are 3 types of duplicity that we have in our hearts. 3 types of kapats. One is dhana kapata. Dhana meaning the duplicity of facility. The duplicity, like dhan means wealth. The duplicity of facility or wealth. That yes, I am a devotee, I'm practicing, but I'm very, very, very hesitant to part part ways with my wealth into Krishna consciousness or my facility. I want to keep it for myself. Like miserly, but one wants to practice devotional service. So it's a form of duplicity. But there's a second form that a person may not even have this dhana kapata, but he's giving very generous, but he has bala kapata. Bala kapata means he's not ready to give his efforts, his time and effort into Krishna consciousness. I'll give the money, a donation, but don't disturb me to come and clean vegetables and preach and distribute books. Just don't disturb me. I'm just going to give all this money and leave me alone. Right? I'll sign my debit order. Fine. That's all. That's also a form of duplicity. But there's even a third one as well. That somebody may be very generous with his wealth, somebody may be very generous with their time and effort, but prema kapata. They are duplicitous with their hearts. They are not willing to give their heart into Krishna consciousness. That their practice of Krishna consciousness is on the surface. Yes, I'm chanting my rounds. Oh yes, I'm coming to the temple. Oh yes, Friday I'm there at the Namahatta. Otherwise, Madhurya Mataji will call me the next day. Hey, you can't come. What happened? Anybody got that call from her? So better come. No. Don't be duplicitous. Krishna consciousness also means we must eventually give our hearts. Not that we must be serving in an obligatory way. Phew, I better be present at all these programs because I know these people from the initiation committee, they're watching if I'm there at the Sunday program, and if I'm not there, they won't give me initiation. No. Then that's not heart. That's not heart. We have to invest our hearts also. So dhana, bala, and prema. All these things must be given. That's when you know, hey, I'm progressing. But when you know you're progressing, another disappointment will naturally come. You'll realize, I'm not doing it well enough. A devotee will never ever be satisfied with their quality of devotional service. How do we know this? When we read this wonderful scripture by Srila Sanatana Goswami, there Bhagavatamrita, especially the first part, you learn about all these superlative, exalted, pure devotees, how they are so expert at finding fault with themselves. They have mastered the art of self-fault finding. Whereas when I look at myself, I can see how expert I am at finding faults outside of me. But the quality of an advancing devotee, they can easily see how faulty they are. And as Narada Muni goes from one to another, they so easily defeat Narada Muni. When he's glorifying them, they say, what are you talking about? Narada Muni, you are an illusion. Don't you know that this glorification that you're giving me is actually my disqualification? Because of this, and this. Rather, go to that person. He has this qualification. She has that wonderful service attitude. So that's the mood we must have. How many of us, another way of, this may be a little bit of a cutting one, which I find very relevant to my own spiritual life. How much of happiness and pleasure do we feel when we see another devotee progressing and advancing? Or do we feel a little pain at that? That's another interesting test, right? When we see a devotee getting such nice accolades and appreciation and opportunities, do we feel pain in some way? I mean, honestly, I can say that, but sometimes with one or two people, I'm like, oh God, if only that person, these people knew about that person, they will never do that. You know? If you catch yourself, but Krishna must be kind. There must be something so wonderful about this person that they're getting this wonderful appreciation and acknowledgement. So you can catch yourself there too. Am I truly feeling pleasure and happiness at someone else's progress? Or am I feeling some unhappiness? That's another type of way. Anyway, so please consider these points about cleansing the heart, cleansing it in a gross way, our habits, and in a very deep internal way. All these other subtle desires. And then what did Lord Chaitanya do? He instructed that all the dirt accumulated must be thrown far away. Let it be not anywhere near us again. And he instructed that the pathways coming to the temples, the roads, must also be cleansed. Also very significant in our spiritual life, keep Maya as far away as possible. Keep good association. Don't flirt with Maya. Don't flirt with her. She's too expert for us. She's too expert. So whenever we see on the horizon some temptation of some gratification coming, focus on the gratification one gets from Krishna consciousness. Focus on that. And the way to do that is to always be tightly packed, regularly in the association of strong devotees. This is very important. And be enthusiastic. Be very, very enthusiastic to hear from devotees. Sometimes I know, oh gosh, I'm so tired, it's been a long week. I know Guru Maharaj is giving class in Phoenix, but I'll catch it online, it's not a big deal. Okay, that's true, Zoom has made us lazy. We don't have to drive anywhere. But there is something to be said about direct personal association. His Holiness Parthasarathi Maharaj many years ago told me how much he appreciates his disciples in Ukraine. I'm not saying he doesn't appreciate his disciples in but he was making a point about his disciples in Ukraine. How when he used to go there, these disciples are very poor. But a number of them would travel 48 hours by train just to come to one program of his, only for the next day to turn around and go back. Now that's enthusiasm, right? When I heard that, I thought, phew, I am spoiled. I am really, really spoiled. They will take that trouble to do that. Which is why, when that happens, Krishna feels so much more obliged. Krishna is a very reciprocal God. How do we know this? As they surrender to me, I reward them accordingly. Very important word, accordingly. We can't expect to do this much and get that much. No. You do this much, you get this much. It's reciprocal. So we also put that effort. Put that effort in. And you may think, hey, I don't have that enthusiasm. How do I develop enthusiasm? There's two ways. One way Prabhupada said is just act enthusiastic. It will come. Like, oh man, this Raghunath Bhatta Prabhu, whenever I'm sitting in the front row and the kirtan starts, he'll pull me in. I'm going to sit at the back. No. If you want to learn how to be enthusiastic, let him pull you into the kirtan. And then after 20 seconds, what you'll be doing? You'll be pulling others in yourself. So just act enthusiastic and eventually it will come. And the other way, very important, is to associate with those devotees who are enthusiastic. Serve them, associate with them, learn from them. And then enthusiasm will build up in the heart as well. Okay, here are some thoughts. I was just telling him in the car that I haven't given one class in 6 months because I was so busy in other pressing services that so I was very nervous coming in. So if my presentation to you all was a little all over the place, please understand that I'm all over the place. But it is very nice to be here with you all, and I hope that what we have shared with you this evening will be of some help to your practices of devotional service. And especially, make it count next week. Make it count. Let every experience, every opportunity that comes by the mercy of Krishna, of Lord Chaitanya and Prabhupada to us in this movement, let it count Don't let it just get washed away, as just a fleeting experience. Let everything count. Even when you're taking prasad, let it count. Not just on the tongue and the nourishment of the body, but on the consciousness. Relish each bite, that this is Krishna's mercy. Relish each moment of association with advanced devotees, because this will take you. It's very powerful, the association of devotees. Let every page of reading Bhagavad Gita count. And let every moment of you pulling the chariot next week count. But how will it count? If you prepare yourself from today. And if what I've shared with you could form a basis of your preparation, then I will get some mercy and benefit from Krishna that way. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Shri Jagadadra Dhyatra Maha Mahotsav ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki Jai. Gaur Premanande.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for such an informative class. I think there's so much to take home from everything that Prabhu said. And as Madhurya Bhakti has posted in the group and Niren Prabhu, that our Namaste Namahatta programs are on YouTube. So if you all can always catch it. I know there's been so much that Prabhu shared with us today, and you all can always go back, watch it again. There's introspection that we can do, looking nicely at how we can improve ourselves. And yes, there's a lot of positive energy this week. It's Rath Yatra 2025 next week, and we know. So a lot of positive energy, a lot of excitement. I know the devotees have been planning for weeks and months. So much happening. And this will be at the Bay of Plenty next week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And as Prabhu said, and I will just reiterate, the Festival of Chariots is not something that's mechanical, where we go there and we just pulling the chariot. Let us feel like we're also pulling the Lord's into our hearts. Please avail yourselves, each and every one of you all come through. Our procession starts at 11 a.m. on Friday. And we meet at the Tropicana Hotel and walk down to Bay of Plenty. There will be shuttle services available for you to park and take you to the starting point of the procession. And on Monday at 5 o'clock in the evening, we have another procession. So we have a sunshine parade and a sunset parade. So please make sure you avail yourselves for both events and share the invite. Tell friends, tell family, be there with us. It's one of the biggest events that we have annually. So we look forward to having everybody there. And we also have a lot of national and international guests that will be there. Just to mention a few, we have His Holiness Indradumna Swami, His Holiness Bhakti Marg Swami, His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami, and so many others that are going to be there. So do not miss out this opportunity of getting this wonderful association of having such senior, exalted devotees amongst us. And there's so much of entertainment available at the site as well. We have the the body art tent with Mehendi and Gopi dots. We have matchless gifts. We have the ISKCON Connect tent, where you'll be given the opportunity to learn about the history of the Sri Sri Radharanath Temple and our Hare Krishna movement. It's 40 years this year of our Sri Sri Radharanath Temple that's been built. So there's so much of celebration going on. There's Maha Jewelry, Maha Prasad, ISKCON merchandise. There's a host of things available. So please do avail yourselves. Next weekend, we look forward to having everybody there. This week Sunday, the new Jagannath Puri temple, that is the Hare Krishna temple in Phoenix, is having a Snan Yatra, and this is the bathing of Lord Jagannath. This festival starts at 9 o'clock in the morning. Thereafter, it will move into the normal Sunday love feast that will start at 11 o'clock. So once again, a very beautiful festival. You should not miss it. It's a very exciting build-up to next weekend. So please try to avail yourself for that. And after Rath Yatra, as you all know, we have Namahatta every alternate Friday. So our next Namahatta will be the week after Rath Yatra. We have His Holiness Ram Govind Swami that will be with us. So save the date. We have Rath Yatra. The next Friday is His Holiness Ram Govind Swami with us. And our next Namahatta will be on the 9th of May. And we have a beautiful Srila Prabhupada night planned. And we have the Harinamananda team from NJP that will be here to celebrate Srila Prabhupada night. And as we've mentioned before, it's 50 years that Srila Prabhupada has come to South Africa. So it's big celebrations going on, and we look forward to having each and every one of you all here with us. So let's give Prabhu another round of applause. And I just wanted to say that we actually started this week on a very somber note. Our Namahatta observed, and we've had a loss. Naveen Prabhu, as many of you all know, Naveen Prabhu is part of our Namahatta, and he's been a very, very wonderful support to us, always attending our programs. Naveen Prabhu lost his Dharampatni, his wife, Shakuntala Mataji, and her funeral was on Monday. So a humble request to please pray for her soul, and also to pray for the family, give them all the love and support that you all can give them. And Naveen Prabhu hopefully will be back with us soon once he feels better. So please keep the family in your prayers and your thoughts. So once again at our Namahatta, we have birthdays that we are celebrating. So I'm trying to look into the crowd. I'm not sure if Sarojini Mataji is here today. Okay, she's not here. Is Suman Prabhu here? Suman Prabhu is here. Okay, Suman Prabhu, you celebrated your birthday yesterday, was it? Yesterday. So please come forward. It was Suman Prabhu's birthday yesterday. And very often you'll see me with the mic in my hand. And it's my service to hold the mic, to bring some positivity and excitement and energy to functions, to programs, to festivals, and to glorify all our eloquent speakers. This is my service. But when the tables are turned and if anything is said about me, I would love to crawl under a rock. So I don't like it at all. And it seems like this defective gene in me has passed to my children, because my twins were asked to come forward by Madhurya Mataji, and they said to me, "No, Mom, we're not coming forward." So I don't know, what do we do? Do we, like Swarup Prabhu requested that we keep his bio very short? We have the twins requesting not to call them forward. What should we do? Let's hear from you all. Should they come forward?
Yeah.
Krishna and Shamakya, please come forward. So they celebrated their birthday on the 2nd of April. You all are stalling the program. So we'd like to wish our birthday boy and our birthday girls, the twins, a very happy birthday from the Lamarsi Namahatta. We wish all a very blessed year ahead. And there's a delicious cake that Madhurya Mataji has baked with so much of love, the most important ingredient in making anything. So we are going to sing happy birthday for them. Ravindra Swarup Prabhu. And while Prabhu's getting ready, if you'd like to say a few words, I'm just giving you all a heads up once the mic comes to you all.
So dear devotees, we are here to glorify the devotees on the Independence Day. So let's sing for them. Hare Krishna to you, Hare Krishna to you, Hare Krishna dear devotees, Hare Krishna to you, Hare Rama to you, Hare Rama to you, Rama dear devotees, Hare Rama. Can I have Omega Mataji please come forward as well as
she, I'm sure, would love to feed her lovely son a piece of cake. And since there's two of you all, Krishna and Shama, Vijay, maybe you and I can go. And Prahlad. See, I said defective G. All of you.
You want?
Okay, so each of you can take a piece of cake. So once again, a very happy birthday to you all, our April babies. Would you like to say a few words?
Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Yet again, I'm in the spotlight for Suman. Thank you, Namahatta. Thank you to Prabhu and Mataji for always going the extra mile to make our birthday babies feel so special. May Krishna keep you all blessed always. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna everyone. Thank you Prabhu for such an amazing class. I always look forward to listening to your classes. I wanted to say thank you to Madhura Mataji and your family. You are not just devotees that we have association with, you have literally become our family. And I'm so grateful that we have you in our lives, and all you devotees that we have association with every Friday, well, every alternate Friday. And thank you, Mom and Dad, for being the parents that you all are. You'll set an amazing example to Prahlad, me, and Krish. So yeah, Hare Krishna devotees. So my sister can speak very well, and obviously you know my mom can. So let's not think that I can speak very well. But thank you, Prabhu, for such an amazing class. We all always look forward to Prabhu's class. But thank you to the rest of Namahatta, and thank you, Madhuri Mataji and Mahaprasad Prabhu. As my sister said, you guys are really like our family, and we're very grateful. And Mom and Dad, we love you guys. And thank you guys for everything, always setting such a good example for us. Between the three of us, we know we're not always easy to take, but thank you guys. We love you guys.
So my Prabhu, last opportunity, make the boys proud. Come on, the ladies are taking over here. Come on, feel everybody sing. Just maybe a thank you. Come on, you can do this. Let's give him a round of applause.
Yeah, I would just like to thank Namahatta for engaging me in this service, coming here. Although I haven't been here for a long time, but I'm here now. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. See, now you've motivated all the Prabhus here. They're going to be taking the mic shortly. Well, not today, but maybe in the future. So thank you once again, and we are looking forward to next week. I know there's so much of plans and preparations going on in our temples, within the committees, and each and every one of you as well planning for Rath Yatra 2025. We look forward to seeing everyone. And please pass the invite to family, friends, neighbors, whomever you wish to pass it to. We're looking forward to next weekend. Thank you once again for coming. Mataji and Prabhu have, with the cooking team, have prepared delicious, sumptuous prasad. So please do not leave without having prasad as well. We've now reached the end of our program. We're going to observe Aarti and Guru Puja. His Grace Swarup Prabhu will perform Aarti, and we have our very, very capable team here that's going to lead us into Kirtan. Thank you once again. Safe travels back home. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. It's blind days. We'll see you Shri Guru Charana
Hare
Hare
Prabhupada ki Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Stotavistata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Iskam Skandacharya Srila Prabhupada ki Anantapoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Shri Shri Radha Radhanath Shri Mahaprabhu ki Shri Giriraj Govardhana ki Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki Shri Jagannath Rathayatra Mahotsava ki. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. Gaura Premanande Go.
We run live now and keep running.
You know,